This is some kind of background that we've got here. So, what we're going to be talking about today is picking. Okay, we talked about picking being the single most important function that goes on at a distribution center. Now, I think we've stressed that there has been a lot of changes in the past as far as how orders are filled. I mean, orders can come in all shapes and sizes, but there's been a lot of changes in terms of how orders are picked, or you might say fulfilled. Okay. Um, One of the ways that, originally orders were oftentimes filled using pieces of paper. Individuals were told to go to a particular location. They had a piece of paper, had a pen, had a pencil. They would go to a location. They were told that, yes, there should be a certain type of product at that location. And then they were told to get a particular quantity. At that point, they would then note on the piece of paper that something was there, not there. And if it wasn't there, they'd have to come back to it, or someone else would have to figure it out. But then they would move on to the next location. So it really depended on the individual picker or the person doing the fulfilling of the orders getting a lot of things right. And that might be in the case of getting to the right location. There wasn't any sort of verification by the system. They could say that they were in the right location, but then indeed they might not necessarily be there. Additionally, they could go to a location and somebody might have put the wrong product in there. If they're not necessarily paying attention to it, they could make a mistake that way. If they're told to take 3 items and they only decide to take 2, that's a problem. If they decide to take 4, that's a problem. So there's lots of issues that could come about in, I guess, what you might consider old-fashioned type of picking. Okay, but still, picking exists today. It hasn't changed. However, the modes in which things oftentimes occur are still they've changed a bit. So you've still got individuals in some distribution centers walking around to locations. They've got a pick cart. There are countless different types of pick carts, different shapes, ones with ladders, ones without ladders, ones that are flat, ones that have multiple tiers, all sorts of different types of pick carts. But still, individual humans having to go out to locations. Big innovation in terms of order picking occurred when all of a sudden you started to have the invention and then the affordability of something known as an RF gun. Okay, basically, it is a radio frequency that allows a human being, a picker, to go to a location and to be able to actually communicate real time with the WMS, or the warehouse management system, and actually get instructions as they look at the screen of this picking gun and it says, okay, I'm supposed to go to a certain location. Okay, the picker, go to a certain location. I confirm it by scanning a barcode at the location. It then instructs me to go and pick up a certain type of unit that is supposedly in that location. I verify that I'm getting the right type of product at that location by scanning the UPC on the item that I'm about to pick up. And then all of a sudden, it then tells me to get a certain quantity. Okay. And then I pick up the certain quantity, and then I have to confirm on the RF device that I have picked the right quantity. Now, there's still opportunities for individuals to screw that up, but it's a lot less than a human being walking around with pencil and paper and having to do a lot of visual stuff. You've got now a component of accountability and ease, where you've got an RF gun actually helping you to verify that you're at the right location, that you've got the right type of product, and then that you are picking, or you are manually confirming that you have picked the right number of units. Okay, so that is RF picking. Still, old-fashioned stuff where individuals are walking around pushing carts, that still exists today. Okay, and it's not necessarily always an old-fashioned type of thing, but it is something that sometimes makes sense in certain parts of a distribution center. Okay, because what we're going to talk about next is other types of technology that can run a bit expensive. And the first one that you were exposed to was something known as voice picking. Picture individuals having a headset on, and they are then told to confirm a certain location that they are at, and essentially they are given instructions via voice. Okay, they've still got an RF type device on their person, and it's communicating real time with antennas that are usually somewhere up at the ceilings of a distribution center. But as soon as somebody completes that pick, just like with RF picking, that real-time update occurs to the inventory and to the order. It's now all of a sudden showing picks. So pick to voice is something where the individual is getting instructions through a headset, and they are told to go to a location. They're not forced to scan it. However, what they are doing is they are confirming that they're at the right location by saying generally a random type number code that can only be found by going to that particular location. Okay. Basically they would put some type of a numerical code or a numeric or some sort of a number, and it would say go to such and such location, and it would only let you proceed if you told the system that you had the right number. Let's say you're going to a location such and such, and you get to the location, then all of a sudden there's a sticker there that says 039. You would have to say the word 039. It's not necessarily a location 39, but you would have to say what was on the placard there. And that would tell you, or that would tell the system that you were at the right location. Okay, next door, the placard might say something totally different, 175. The one on the other side might say 765. Okay, whatever the case, it is unique to that location, and you must say that number in order for it to tell you to pick a certain number of product. Okay. So, with all that being said, yeah, that's a great innovation. It's oftentimes for larger movements around a distribution center. However, there are other options that a company or a distribution center might use. And one of those things would also be known as pick to light. Okay. If you remember watching a video that we had this past week where I kind of likened much of what was being done to I mean, I hate to refer to it this way, but it's almost kind of like individuals are trained, kind of like a lab rat type of experience or experiment, where individuals are going to a location where there is a light that is lit. There is also a quantity that is lit, and they are going to where the light is at. They pick a certain number that is lit up at that location, and then they put it into a tote, they put it into a box, and then they send that box ultimately on its way when they've picked all the lights, or the lights have gone out, or lights out, as it is referred to in a pick to light type of setting. Okay. So, pick to light, pick to voice, RF picking are all innovations that have been created in the world of order picking. There are some other things that we'll talk about a little bit later, but in terms of general order picking, these are some of the most common ones that are used. Okay, but again, you have to remember the number one function of a distribution center is not receiving product. Okay, but it is picking orders in order to get them out of the building. Okay, order picking, very important. Okay, it's also one of the most labor intensive activities in the building, which is why there is always so much attention being given to the pickers and how efficiently they are actually being in their jobs. So everything is done possible to allow these individuals to be efficient, and everything is done so that they can be efficient. Okay, so I will stop there. And with that being said, that's it for order picking.